Are you one of those people that simply loves a good organized table chart? If not, that's okay. There are two types of table charts that you can make, the summarizing ones and the association ones. This one is used when there are a lot of names, dates, etc. And this one is used more when there are different topics or it branches out, but okay, we're gonna dive a little bit more into them. Summary charts. These are useful when you're dealing with topics that have many subsections. So take dealing with countries and their capitals and their currencies. So you see kind of how you can start to organize and create a table with it. Building a summary chart in this case would make it a lot easier for you to visualize all of that information. Now to association tables. Look, you're gonna find yourself making these tables as you study, as you learn. Let me give you an example. Say you're trying to learn about plants and their families and etc. Okay? And there is family A, and there's family B, and family C. But then under family A, you're studying this plant type A. Okay? So you make like a branch for it. And then also within that family A, there's also this other plant B. Okay? But that plant B also has its two own branches, plant B1 and B2. You see, kind of like if you were to make the other type of table, the summary table, that would look kind of weird. But now when you can make these associations and you can combine them all together, it looks a lot better. The cool thing with these tables is that you're actually engaging a couple types of memories. The visual one, so as you're creating it, you're creating this image in your head, and also the associative one, because you may start to create connections that initially didn't seem to be there. Now, hear me out. You may be tempted to go ahead and use your friend's association table just because that friend of yours makes them look so pretty and nice and all of that. I get it. But look, you should probably try to do your own table, and here's why. The answer is kind of a lot logical. When you're creating your own table, you're putting on paper how your head is seeing those connections, right? Now, when you're looking at your friend's table, you're trying to understand their head. So in that, well, you may be missing both on creating the table, which already helps a lot, and then two, now you have to try to understand their head, not yours. Now, I get it. If you're completely horrible at it, you're like, I cannot create those tables and it's just best for me, I feel like it's best for me, go ahead. I would rather you use someone else's table than just don't use one at all, okay? But again, my preference is for you to create your own. Now let's backtrack a little bit to talk about the visual and the associative memories. The visual or photographic memory would actually take place once you're done creating your table and you can take a mental picture of the whole thing. Sometimes it even happens that you remember the exact picture during the test or very close to it. You're like, okay, that information was to the right, was to the left, whatever. The second type, associative memory, is what babies and dogs use to learn. And it's also what kind of allowed me to learn English a little bit faster. Here's an example. When a baby is hungry, it eventually figures out that if it cries, it's gonna be fed. A dog figures out that if it sits, given the command sit, it's gonna get a treat. When you're training it, you train the dog to associate certain behaviors, certain patterns with either reprehension or giving them a treat. On the whole learning English faster thing, my native language is Portuguese, and apple in Portuguese is maçã, okay? What people would do when learning English was to associate, say, the word apple, okay? So they would go, okay, maçã means apple, and that's this. And then this image is maçã, that is apple. So you see how it's a 3-step process? What someone taught me that I could do was something a little bit different. Instead of going through this translation process, I would just make, okay, as soon as I saw a picture of maçã, instead of thinking maçã and then translating in my head, no, I would see the picture and I would think apple. So you break that middleman and that translation portion and you just make the association right away. So then words come a lot quicker to you. So instead of this is maçã and maçã is apple, I would say this is apple. That's how it works. Finally, remember that building a table is different from studying. However, Also, if you're building the table yourself, studying it is going to be a lot quicker because you're already getting familiar as you build it. And on a final note, if you're using someone else's table, you never get to really use that associative memory because you're not the one making the associations. You're not the one making the connections. Now, you may get the connections that your friends made, but still, you're not putting your head to think about it. It's that same discussion of a passive versus active learning.